We begin with judicial matters, where the Federal High Court in Abuja has once again adjourned the trial of the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. Now, after appearing before the court today, the trial was adjourned to the 6th of May 2025. The court, presided over by Justice James Omotosho, had earlier authorized the use of masked witnesses. At the last sitting, a masked witness identified as AAA testified about Kanu's arrest at a hotel in Lagos, evidence the defense was expected to contest on Friday. Now, Kanu's lead counsel, Kanu Agabi, presented a 22-member legal team, although the judge permitted only 13 to participate. 4 senior advocates of Nigeria have now joined the defense. Kanu faces terrorism and treason charges dating back to 2015. However, the case has been repeatedly delayed, including due to his controversial rearrest in Kenya in 2021. Meanwhile, Justice Inyangeko, the judge assigned to hear the case involving Aisha Chimugu, has been suspended by the National Judicial Council. According to the NJC, Justice Ekwo delivered a ruling in a criminal case without hearing from the parties involved, an act deemed a serious breach of judicial conduct. Now, the council added that the judge failed to properly identify the parties referenced in this ruling. As a result, Justice Ekwo had been handed a 1-year suspension, placed on a 5-year watch list, and barred from career progression for the same duration. News Central's Joshua Marai joins us to give more update on this. Joshua, what were the main reasons given for the latest adjournment of Nnamdi Kanu's trial to May 6, 2025?
Well, good afternoon to you, Dashen. I am live at the Federal High Court, where earlier counsels representing Nnamdi Kanu have briefed us. The adjournment was given to enable further cross-examination and presentation of witnesses by the DSS in this case. But let me tell you what went down in court today. Upon the commencement of proceedings, and the counsel representing Nnamdi Kanu was allowed to cross-examine the witness brought forward by the DSS. The question of the DSS, if earlier a video was played where Nnamdi Kanu was being questioned and interviewed in the custody of the DSS, where he had alleged that he had been interviewed without the presence of his lawyers. So they asked the witness of the DSS if he was among those responsible for the case of Nnamdi Kanu, and he said his own duty was to effect his arrest at the Golden City Hotel, see him brought to Abuja and brought forward to the DSS. Now they asked him that upon arriving at Golden City Hotel, was there any incriminating evidence that noted that Nnamdi Kanu was a party to terrorism? Was any instrument of terrorism found in his custody, in which the witness said no? He was then asked if the lady who was in the company of Nnamdi Kanu at the Golden City Hotel had any incriminating evidence that suggested that she was part of the alleged terrorism activity. Said no. They asked him further if he had some properties of Nnamdi Kanu in his custody, and he confirmed that yes, he had them and was brought forward to the DSS. He had his cell phone, and they asked if upon analyzing the cell phone, he saw any incriminating evidence suggesting that Nnamdi Kanu perpetrated any act of terrorism, and they said no. So the question and the answers all amounted to no, 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 no. Now, the counsel representing Nnamdi Kanu went forward and asked the witness that currently we are seeing some pockets of violence and insurgency and insecurity across the country. Are those insecurity connected to any agitation for emancipation of any group? He said no. Then the counsel representing Nnamdi Kanu went ahead to tell the court that his client is the only person standing trial amongst the group that was arrested sometime 10 years ago in company of Nnamdi Kanu. He's the only person standing trial for terrorism charges. Then they concluded the cross-examination, and the next adjourned date was adjourned to May 6th for a continuing of the cross-examination and presentation of further witnesses by the DSS.
Okay. Well, just before we go ahead, Joshua, let's listen to what Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer had to say.
We started our cross-examination today, and for hours run, and I guess we have made progress. We're getting there. The matter is set down for Tuesday, the continuation of cross-examination, and of course for you, other witnesses to we believe, like we said last week, we're making progress. The trial is going on in a very congenial atmosphere, and we believe that we will get there.
Well, he just said that they seem to be making progress. But then, Joshua, back to you. How did the court justify the use of masked witnesses? You know, what was the reaction from both prosecution and defense?
Well, for the use of masked witnesses, the officer of the DSS who has been identified as AAA amounted to no substantial evidence against Nnamdi Kanu, based on what the lawyer has said. And subsequently, they are expected to bring more witnesses to prove their case of alleged terrorism against Nnamdi Kanu.
Okay. Now, can you describe the atmosphere in and around the Federal High Court during today's proceedings?
As usual, whenever Nnamdi Kanu is being brought to court, we are seeing pockets of DSS operatives and security operatives scattered around the premises of the Federal High Court in Abuja, along the highway leading to the Federal High Court, as well as the neighboring building, which is the Ministry of Justice. Pockets of DSS officials are stationed around there. Even in the building, in the premises of the Federal High Court too, you could see pockets of DSS officials scattered around. And before you could get access into the premises of the Federal High Court, you are subjected to a very, very intense scrutiny of questioning you to where you are going. If you are a lawyer, you have to bring evidence that you have a case in court. If you are one who has, if you are a respondent in any pending case, you have to bring evidence that you have any business in court. And if you are a journalist, you have to bring evidence that you are a journalist, because already there is a submitted list of journalism of journalists at the gate of the Federal High Court. So that is how it is. The security is tense. Every area, every staircase, every hall, every door is being manned by security operatives, ensuring they do their job.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for that update, Joshua. Now, to address growing insecurity in northeast Nigeria, the Northeast Governors Forum has agreed to adopt a multi-dimensional strategy combing persuasive and repressive approaches. Now, this was part of the resolutions reached at the 11th meeting of the Northeast Governors Forum held in Damaturu, the Yobe state capital. News Central's Umari Kirawa reports.
Terrorism, banditry, and the renewed wave of attacks targeting civilians and the security forces remain major obstacles in the Northeast, a region that has grappled with insecurity for years. The 6 governors of the Northeast, representing Borno, Adamawa, Yobe, Bauchi, Taraba, and Gombe, were led by Forum Chairman Professor Babagana Zulum. Alongside key stakeholders, they convened to seek practical and sustainable solutions.
Let me commend the efforts of the members of the armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in their determined efforts to eradicate the menace of insurgency. I urge you to sustain the fight so as to bring this war to a successful end. The recent re-emergence of attacks by the insurgents is a matter of serious concern, capable of undermining the successes already recorded in the theater of war. I want to emphasize the urgent need for further collective action.
It is gratifying that over the years, the Forum has built strong relationships and advanced regional cooperation among the member states, providing a common platform to collectively pursue common interests.
To overcome terrorism, the governors stressed the need for a comprehensive strategy that addresses the root causes of insecurity, including poverty, unemployment, and illiteracy.
Poverty level in our region is alarming, and it is imperative that we take bold steps to address the challenge. We must adopt short-term, medium-term measures, and we should focus on rebuilding and revitalizing our agricultural sector. This includes providing support to farmers, investing in irrigation system, and promoting climate-resilient agricultural practices.
Forum notes that addressing the security challenges in the Northeast require a multidimensional approach of not only the kinetic strategy, but also address the root causes such as youth employment through vocational and technical education, improve road networks, improved education, and reducing poverty.
Policy experts say the governors must go beyond issuing communiques and jointly fund regional projects, particularly those aimed at tackling unemployment through industrial revival and development. In Damaturu for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
The Pan-Yoruba Socio-Political Group, Afenifere, and the Pan-Igbo Cultural Organization, Ohanaeze Ndigbo, have dismissed allegations by the Arewa Consultative Forum of rising hostility and violence against northerners in southern Nigeria. Now, the ACF had on Wednesday expressed concern over what it described as deeply regrettable attacks on northerners, particularly in the southeast, warning of growing alienation that could threaten national unity. Speaking during a meeting in Kaduna, Chairman of the ACF Board of Trustees, Bashir El-Hatu, claimed that while northerners have historically extended unlimited hospitality to Nigerians from other regions, such gestures have not been reciprocated. However, Ohanaeze Ndigbo described the ACF's claims as divisive and diversionary, asserting that northerners are peacefully coexisting with their host communities across the southeast. The U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation and Drug Enforcement Administration have jointly requested a 90-day extension from a United States District Court to release documents related to an alleged drug investigation involving President Bola Tinubu dating back to the 1990s. Now, the request, submitted in a joint status report to the District Court for the District of Columbia, comes in response to the Freedom of Information Act lawsuit filed by U.S. transparency advocate Aaron Greenspan. Greenspan argues that the agencies have delayed the process for years and is demanding the immediate release of the identified records. The court had earlier ruled that the agency's refusal to confirm or deny the existence of such documents was inappropriate. Now, while the FBI and DEA are seeking a new deadline of 31st July to report progress, Greenspan insists on a 31st May update and reimbursement of $440 in court costs. After the break, we'll tell you that Labour demands end to insecurity tax bill withdrawal. We'll bring you more in a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now, the Ogori people of Kogi State are celebrating the annual Ovia-Osese festival, a significant cultural event that honors the transition of young girls into womanhood and fosters communal unity. Held 2 weeks after Easter, the week-long festival attracts Ogori indigents from across the globe to the Ogori Magongo local government area. It is widely recognized as a vibrant expression of the community's cultural identity. Now, at the heart of the celebration is the initiation of teenage girls required to be virgins into womanhood. Under the guidance of an elder woman, the initiates receive teachings on moral conduct, marital responsibilities, and cultural traditions. Dressed in traditional attire, the girls are then formally introduced to the community through the symbolic Oke dance. Now, beyond the initiation, the festival also features sporting events, cultural performances, and beauty pageants, making it a colorful and unifying occasion. Our News Central's Blessings Mosugu joins us from Kogi for more on this. Now, Blessings, you seem to be having so much fun. Can you describe the atmosphere and mood at the festival this year?
Hi, Dassin. It's great to be here. This place is bubbling with activity, basically. So this is the Ovia-Osese festival. It's an annual festival. It happens every and like you said in your introduction, it's the rite of passage for young maidens. So many people coming from the diaspora, people from different, across the nation, people from different states in Nigeria, and even across, the globe. If you look around, you see so many different cultural representation of different groups. You see the Abuja branch, the Just branch, and then they're clad in beautiful cultural attires. It's also, Dashin, I'll also have you know that it is a form of a competition, because at the end of this festival, there is an award to be won by the best branch, be it in terms of dressing, in terms of dance and music, and that's why you hear them singing different songs. Now, if you look behind me, you will see a statue. This statue was just commissioned this morning. Now, every year there is a new mating put up there as a symbol of the Ogori mating. This is what an Ogori mating would literally look like when they come out. They're also called the Evia. So that's what the environment is basically. It's celebration galore.
Now, what are some of the key rituals or activities, involved in the initiation ceremony? You did say it is a competition.
This festival is almost like a week-long festival. So before now, there used to be some matings put in a particular room, more like a fattening room, but it's not a fattening room, but something similar to that. So they're trained on how to dance, how to dress, what to look like, and then, at the end of the maybe 3-day training, they will eventually gather and, dance at the arena on the last day. But aside that, there are also some activities like mountaineering, like there is a display of their delicacy, basically their cultural delicacy, and we'll be seeing that later today. But right now, this is the carnival that sees so many different cultural attires and different representation, basically. So those are the rituals, and then there's more to be expected.
Okay, Blessings, now tell us, how do the community members, especially the elders, how do they view the significance of this festival today?
I'm just going to go ahead and say that there's been some myths about the Ovia-Osese festival. Now, growing up, we've heard so many people say things like the festival is about naked girls dancing, and I think that there is now an awareness to debunk such myths, because, like, you can see that it's a rite of passing for maidens, quite all right, but there are no naked girls dancing. They're fully clad in their traditional attire, and it is not a way of, giving out young ladies to older men for marriage, because those are certain myths that people have about the festival, and it's good to see that there's more awareness on the festival, so people know what the festival is all about. It's just celebrating the maidens. It's not about grooming or giving out little girls to older people in marriage.
Please feel free to tell us, is that where you're from? Is that your local government area? And did you pass through that rite, through the ceremony? It's fine, Blessings. Well, I think we'll be stopping here. I know Blessings is from Kogi State, so we just wanted to find out, if she has had experience on this. But thank you so much, Blessings. And now we move on to the news. In response to recent fire damage and structural concerns, the federal government has issued a 7-day ultimatum to illegal occupants under the Iddo Bridge in Lagos to vacate the premises ahead of the demolition of unauthorized structures. Now, News Central's Israel Eferobo has the details.
The announcement was made by the Minister of Works, David Mahi, during an inspection tour of the top and under deck of the Iddo Bridge.
7 days, immediately. Why do we move them? Move them from where? Where did they come from? They are destroying the bridge. You are talking about moving them.
The minister explained that the fire resulting from unsafe human activities had weakened sections of the bridge, prompting urgent intervention.
We also noticed that, in the past, we had a lot of shops, and, in some sections of the shop, they were selling chemical. And then the chemical, busted into flames and got a lot of the bridges destroyed. And so the Jorobeja felt that the structural elements of the bridge has been affected. But we have done joint inspection very well. And luckily for us, it's only the cover to the structural elements that are affected.
He confirmed that weekend closures will be enforced to allow for the removal and replacement of damaged asphalt, while a full closure will follow for the replacement of expansion joints with dates to be announced in advance. During the inspection, the minister also visited the Marine Bridge, declaring that a 21-day closure will be required for lifting and replacement of numerous bridge bearings.
We are at Marine Bridge Junction now, which can be called Ijora Marine Apapa Link Bridge. This bridge is about 2-kilometer road in length, and then it comes from Apapa, Ijora Causeway, and takes people through Marine Bridge to Apapa. So what the contractor intends doing for 20 days is to fix about 50 expansion joints and 50 bearings that are defective. So they have one at the beginning here, and then they have at the midspan, and they have further down the midspan, not to the end, because the bridge starts from here to Area B in Apapa.
Now, why do we need to close this Marine Bridge? If the Marine Bridge repair work is just about the surface or structural elements under on top, we wouldn't have closed it, because it's painful to have any of the routes of Lagos closed. This one entails lifting of the entire span to change the bearings.
As Lagos braces for temporary disruptions, the Ministry of Work calls on all citizens to support the restoration of these vital arteries. In Lagos, for News Central, Israel Efirobo.
As global trade evolves, certification has become a critical factor for businesses seeking to scale and access new markets, hence the call for the Nigerian Conformity Assessment and Certification (NICET) to ensure quality, safety and fair competition in the domestic and international markets. News Central's Omolola Ololade tells us more in this report.
Entrepreneurs in Africa's largest economy, Nigeria, are faced with the complexities of local and international trade, one of which is getting the necessary trade certification and conformity assessment for their businesses. On this premise, the Nigerian Conformity Assessment and Certification at the 2025 Annual Science of Trade Conference emphasizes the importance of trade certification for scaling and accessing new markets, especially for businesses in the informal sector.
Is for those who are in primary production, for in the agricultural sector, people who are doing processing, those who are exporting or those who intend to export, because the certification covers both for the formal market and the informal market, just promoting non-oil export from Nigeria to lucrative markets like the US market, the EU market, the Middle East market, other markets like the Japanese market, markets that are stricter, but I would give Nigerian products, products that Nigeria have comparative advantage, some sort of premium in the market.
A lot of them really need to understand and learn what this actually means. And it doesn't just start with the export, it's actually all the way back to the value chain in terms of how they grow their products, in terms of how they package their products, and in terms of how they sustain the products, so that by the time it actually reaches the destination of where it's going, it's actually in a good condition. So this is very important. It's called agribusiness, which also sits under my Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Investment.
Beyond certification and conformity assessment, the conference explores the complexity of trade, focusing on intracontinental and global trade opportunities under structures like AFTA.
Certification is not optional. It's becoming mandatory. It's becoming a must. So for you to access any market to sell your product, you definitely need to have certification. So it's a sign-on quote to say that it is compulsory and we must imbibe it, even for our domestic consumption. You need to go to the market or the shelves, pick up a good that you are sure has met the necessary standard.
There is already African shops, but what we have now in Nigeria is larger, is far larger more than what African shops can contain. So we need African market in the US. We are pleading, we want the American government to please give us a place and don't allow us to be floating.
For SMEs to unlock business growth and opportunities, Relevant stakeholders highlight consumers' protection, promoting fair competition and facilitating international trade by ensuring products meet established standards, among others.
As we jointly
in Lagos for News Central, Omolola Ololade.
Nigeria's Rural Electrification Agency has signed its first batch of grant agreements to provide electricity to over 17 million citizens. Now, the initiative, known as the Distributed Access Through Renewable Energy Scale-Up Program, will see the deployment of over 1,000 mini-grids expected to create and enhance access to clean and reliable electricity to Nigerians and boost the nation's drive to cleaner and more environmentally friendly energy. The Chief Executive Officer of the Rural Electrification Agency, Abba Aliyu, during the sign-in ceremony in Abuja, says that the federal government will use the DARFES program, fulfill promises made to citizens through its renewed hope agenda, which includes providing reliable and sustainable electricity to Nigerians.
This project aims to electrify 17.5 million Nigerians, and we intend to provide or to deploy 1,350 mini-grids. We also segregated the implementation of the project in two different components. The first component is the deployment of mini-grid, be it isolated mini-grid or interconnected mini-grid. The second component is the deployment of solar home system. The aim of the DES project is to create access and enhance reliability of our intervention in different areas, and a total of 47 megawatts of additional clean, reliable electricity that will be added to the total capacity in the country. The government of President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, through the renewed hope agenda, is facing the challenge of electricity access in the country heads on, and we are committed to address that challenge.
The news returns after the break. As climate change continues to threaten public infrastructure and health systems across Nigeria, experts say it is time to build stronger resilience around Nigeria's water sanitation and hygiene program. Our correspondent Iddo Joseph reports.
Beyond the devastating impact on homes, farmlands, and infrastructure, climate change is also damaging water and sanitation facilities, polluting water sources, and straining sanitation systems, thereby increasing the risks of disease outbreaks. Stakeholders say that ensuring that communities, especially the poor and vulnerable ones, maintain sustainable access to water, sanitation, and hygiene is key, despite the growing challenges which require building resilience into Nigeria's WASH program.
The collective actions we channel into this cause can be a formidable force in creating a sustainable future, where access to clean water, adequate sanitation, and proper hygiene would be a reality, regardless of challenges in the sector.
While acknowledging that building such resilience requires significant funding, they say that there is a need for collaboration to mobilize finance and resources from both the public and private sectors.
With the help of our partners, we have developed wash facilities that are resistant to flooding as well as drought. These facilities have been tested that in the case of flooding, we can still withstand. I mean, our facilities will still be standing.
When we come together and have a cohesive and a rallying point where we all agree on what we should do and how to go about it, they will get more results. We'll use resources efficiently. Our planning, our programming, our interventions are going to be more cohesive and coherent, and we're going to be able to achieve the ultimate result of ensuring that wash systems, wash facilities, wash infrastructures, wherever located in this country, especially in the communities, are resilient to climate change and its impact, so that whether there are droughts, whether there is flooding, whether there's saline intrusion, our people can have access to safe water.
With efforts like the recently held second annual climate change conference in Abuja, which brought together experts to reach a consensus on practical solutions, it is clear that water and sanitation challenges cannot be tackled in isolation. In Abuja for News Central, Iddo Joseph.
Let's take you back to the 2025 Workers' Day celebration, which held at the Eagle Square in Abuja and brought together members of the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress, united in their demands for improved welfare and labor reforms. Top on their list was the call to end the ravaging insecurity in several parts of the country and the withdrawal of the nation's controversial tax bill. Our correspondent Joshua Marai reports.
It was a show of unity and solidarity at the 2025 Workers' Day celebration, which held at the Eagle Square in Abuja. Members of the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress all converged in the nation's capital in various colors for the May Day celebration. President of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Joe Ajaero, used the occasion to call on the federal government to salvage the insecurity situation ravaging some parts of the country.
Bloodshed, Uromi, Yamufu, Edane, Awo, Zamfara, Akos, Benue, Kebbi testifies a failure of leadership. The federal government must fulfill its primary constitutional duty to protect the lives and property, not lament helplessly.
His counterpart from the Trade Union Congress also weighed in, urging the withdrawal of the federal government's proposed tax bill currently before the National Assembly, describing it as anti-worker and insensitive.
We must demand the immediate withdrawal of this anti-worker tax bill. We want progressive taxation. We want VAT exemptions on essentials. We demand support for the informal economy, the true backbone of Nigeria's economy. Workers will not rest until we win tax justice for millions who keep Nigeria running.
President Bola Tinubu, who was represented by the Minister of Labour and Employment, Mohammed Nnamdi, assured workers of the government's commitment to strengthen workers' protection and improving their welfare across the country.
On our part, as a government, we will continue to strengthen labor protections, improving job security, and ensuring fair treatment for all workers in line with international best practices, and at the same time, addressing issues of unemployment, which remains a significant concern.
The event also featured the traditional Workers' Day march path by various affiliate unions, displaying colors in solidarity in spirit of the labor movement.
Nigerian workers are calling on government at all levels to implement policies that will ease the burden of living for Nigerians in general. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Marai.
Similarly, Nigerian workers and trade unionists are once again renewing calls for better welfare and full implementation of the national minimum wage. At this year's commemoration in Abuja, participants urge governments and employees or employers of labor to prioritize the well-being of workers as a means to drive national productivity. Our correspondent, Sagir Ibrahim, reports.
First, globally recognized as International Workers' Day, is dedicated to celebrating the contributions of workers and advocating for improved labor conditions. In Nigeria, the demands remain consistent: better working conditions, fairer treatment, and most importantly, a living wage. Workers who turned out for this year's rally say the call for full implementation of the 70,000 naira minimum wage across federal, state, and local governments must no longer fall on deaf ears. They also admonished employers of labor to prioritize workers' welfare for improved productivity.
Nobody in Nigeria today, especially Nigeria worker, that will come out and say government is fair with the implementation of minimum wage. Even the little they have implemented, unfortunately, we are seeing a situation where there is a very high tax regime in Nigeria. So it's like giving somebody something with the right hand and taking it back with the left hand.
Workers have been very diligent and efficient in the discharge of their duties. But if you realize recently, up till that, the minimum wage is not yet implemented. You see, all these things accumulated and they dehumanize the strength and productivity of the Nigerian worker.
Employers of labor, particularly in the media industry, please take the issue of welfare for your staff as top priority.
While many echo the call for urgent wage reforms, others believe the government is already making efforts and should be supported to do more over time.
The present administration has been fair to Nigerian workers in all sincerity. You see, an average human being is Oliver Twist. No matter what you do, workers will always demand for more. Even if you're paying workers $1 billion every month, they will still demand for more.
Amid the broader demands, members of the Amalgamated Union of App-Based Transporters of Nigeria, representing ride-hailing and logistics workers, though not covered under the National Minimum Wage Framework, used the opportunity to demand greater recognition and protection for task-based earners and on-demand service providers.
To ensure that we are given our rightful place, we should be able to have what we call collective bargaining. The app company cannot just fix price. They cannot just come and set their algorithm and it's run like that. There are peculiar issues. There are issues that borders on security.
As Nigerian workers continue to push for equity and fair compensation, the 2025 May Day serves as another reminder that for labor to thrive, policies must match the realities of those on the front lines of productivity. In Abuja for News Central, I'm Sagir Ibrahim.
In the same vein, workers in South Nigeria joined their counterparts across the country to mark this year's Labor Day with demands on the state and federal governments to improve their welfare packages. News Central's correspondent Austin Azu, who monitors the event in the region, now reports.
Workers' Day celebration and workers in the South region converged on their designated locations to mark the events in their various states. At the Same Gbemudia Stadium in Benin City, Edo State capital, Governor Monday Okpebholo announced an increase in the minimum wage for workers from 70,000 naira to 75,000 naira.
Today, I am proud to announce our administration has approved a new minimum wages of 75,000 naira monthly. It is our way of saying thank you.
At the Peace Park Yenegua, the Bayelsa State capital, Governor Dorodiri announced several key initiatives, including the recruitment of 1,000 new workers into the state civil service, engagement of additional teachers for secondary and technical schools, among others.
And be rest assured that your government will continue to be a labor-friendly government. We will continue to prioritize the interests and the welfare of workers in an environment that will make you to be productive and add to the development of Bayelsa State.
In Rivers State, the workers converged on the NLC Secretariat in Port Harcourt, demanding the return of the suspended governor of the state.
After consultation with all the organs of the union, that this celebration cannot hold at a public place, but should be limited in our secretariat. As part of the process to also show our disappointment in this development.
The Nigerian workers are saying no, that they are not celebrating, rather they are mourning what is happening, and they are saying no, democracy must be reinstituted back in Rivers State.
In Delta State, the workers converged on Cenotaph Asaba and placed their demands before their employer.
Number one, Your Excellency, is about low-cost houses for workers. Accommodation in the state capital and across the state generally has become a challenge for workers. The rate of armed robbery and kidnapping is increasing in the state. We want to appeal that you look into that as well and ensure that our lives and property are safe.
The issue of low-cost houses for workers, let me assure Delta workers that this matter will be looked into seriously by the government, because everything you have said is true. We feel the pain that our workers feel, and this government will not just sit down and watch workers suffer. So the issue of housing will be seriously looked into.
The event featured colorful march past and parade by different trade unions. In Asaba for News Central, Austin, Azu.
Coming up after the break, United Nations bemoans killings as toll rises in Sudan. We'll tell you more in a moment. Join us again. Away from Nigeria, a new United Nations report has warned that more than 540 people have been killed in Sudan's Darfur region in just 3 weeks. Now, this is as the paramilitary rapid support forces escalate their offensive for control of El Fasher. Meanwhile, in Khartoum, the RSF launched another round of shelling on Thursday, targeting the presidential palace. This marks the second strike on the capital in under a week. The attack, carried out using long-range artillery from Al-Salha across the White Nile, signals the RSF's closest push towards the palace since government troops retook the city in March. No casualties were immediately reported. In the world of sports, Under-20 Africa Cup. Now, Nigeria's Under-20s men's team, Flying Eagles, began their Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations campaign with a 1-0 win over Tunisia on Thursday in Cairo. Awal Ibrahim netted the only goal in the first half, finishing off a well-placed pass from Odinaka Okoro. Nigeria controlled the game early, but Tunisia threatened after a break. A potential second-half penalty for Nigeria was overturned by VAR, while goalkeeper Ifeanyi Harcourt made a key late save to secure the victory. This victory continues Nigeria's impressive record against Tunisia at this level, with 4 wins and 6 marches dating back to 1981. Head coach Aliyu Zubairu credited the win to the team's World Cup qualification ambition, saying that the players were motivated to start strong. That's all at this hour. But before we go, here's another look at some of our top stories. We told you that, again, Abuja court has adjourned Nnamdi Kanu's trial over alleged treason charge. We also told you that Northeast Governors Forum has initiated action plan to tackle insecurity, poverty. Finally, you heard that United Nations has bemoaned killings as toll rises in Darfur. Remember, you may send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, StarTimes channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Darshan Usman.